What if the most effective weapon ever created wasn't a bomb? What if it was a rumor, a superstition, or something so ridiculous that no serious government would ever admit considering it? Imagine armed rebels abandoning a strategic position because they believed a supernatural creature was hunting them. Crazy, right? Imagine an intelligence agency designing a children's toy, like a toy, meant to turn a real enemy into a spiritual being. A bad one, if you know what I mean. And imagine one of the boldest secret operations of the Cold War being exposed before it even began, by a man working for both sides. These weren't internet legends. They appeared in memoirs, government archives, and declassified intelligence files. And that's what makes them so disturbing. Because once you learn what was real, you start questioning every story you once dismissed as too bizarre to be true. Tonight, we're opening files filled with fake monsters, psychological warfare, secret tunnels, strange propaganda, and operations that sound completely insane. Some worked, some failed spectacularly, and one ended with a secret the agency still hasn't fully revealed. Imagine that, guys. Because sometimes the real mystery isn't what they discovered, it's what they still refuse to tell us. Real quick, subscribe, leave a like, and follow me on Instagram so you don't miss the next mystery. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee or use the Solana wallet linked below. Okay, back to the files. To understand these operations, we need to return to the early years of the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union weren't fighting only with weapons. They were fighting for information, influence, and control over human behavior. The CIA quickly learned that an enemy didn't always need to be physically destroyed. Sometimes, it was enough to confuse them, embarrass them, or make them afraid of something they couldn't explain. One early document captured this strange philosophy perfectly. The Simple Sabotage Field Manual taught ordinary citizens how to quietly disrupt enemy-controlled workplaces. Workers were encouraged to lose documents, misunderstand instructions, delay decisions, hold unnecessary meetings, and argue about irrelevant details. Basically, professional incompetence, but used as a weapon. The idea was simple. Thousands of tiny disruptions could damage a powerful system without looking like an organized attack. But the CIA soon began experimenting with something darker: fear. In the early 1950s, intelligence officer Edward Lansdale was helping the Philippine government fight communist-linked Hook rebels. Lansdale had previously worked in advertising, so he understood how emotion could influence people more effectively than facts. He studied local beliefs and discovered that many villagers feared a supernatural creature known as the aswang, a vampire-like monster said to hunt people at night. So his team allegedly turned that legend into psychological warfare. They spread rumors that an aswang was roaming near a rebel camp. Then, according to Lansdale's account, his men captured a fighter walking at the back of a patrol and later left his body on a trail with 2 puncture marks on his neck. The message was obvious. Something in the forest had found him. By the next day, the rebels had abandoned the area. Now, historians still debate whether every detail happened exactly as Lansdale described, but the strategy itself reveals something important. The CIA wasn't creating fear from nothing. It was studying beliefs that already existed and transforming them into weapons. And once the agency understood how powerful that could be, its ideas became even stranger. Toys, movies, fake companies, secret tunnels, and one plan involving an intimate object that sounds far too ridiculous to be real. But oh my gosh, it was seriously considered. And this is where the official records become almost stranger than the rumors. In the mid-2000s, the CIA explored a project codenamed Devil Eyes. The agency commissioned prototypes of an Osama bin Laden action figure, created with help from Donald Levine, the toy executive associated with the original G.I. Joe. At first, the doll looked normal, but after exposure to heat, its outer face was designed to peel away, revealing red skin, green eyes, and demonic markings underneath. Gosh, no way! The apparent goal was to frighten children and their parents in Pakistan or Afghanistan, weakening bin Laden's heroic image among potential supporters. The CIA later confirmed that prototypes existed, but insisted the project was abandoned before the toys were distributed. Yeah, of course. However, another source claimed that a larger batch may have reached Karachi. So even the final scale of the operation remains disputed. But psychological warfare could also be absurdly personal. During the Cold War, intelligence planners reportedly discussed dropping oversized American condoms into communist territory, but labeling them as medium. This is just crazy. Really? The message was childish, of course, but calculated. Convince Soviet men that their American rivals were physically superior and quietly damage morale. The operation was apparently never executed. Still, the fact that it was seriously discussed reveals the mindset. If insecurity could weaken the enemy, then embarrassment was considered a weapon. And sometimes, an unbelievable lie could actually save lives. In 1979, 6 American diplomats escaped when the US Embassy in Tehran was stormed and secretly took shelter with Canadian officials. CIA officer Tony Mendez created a false Hollywood production called Studio 6 and purchased a science fiction script named Argo. The 6 Americans received Canadian identities and rehearsed roles as a film crew scouting locations in Iran. On January 28, 1980, they passed through the Tehran airport and escaped aboard a Swiss Air flight. The CIA's role remained classified until 1997. That operation worked because the lie wasn't merely plausible, it was complete. There was a company, a script, advertisements, a working telephone line, and people ready to answer questions. The illusion survived because every tiny detail supported it. Then there was Operation Gold. In 1954, the CIA and British intelligence began constructing a tunnel from West Berlin toward underground Soviet communication cables. The finished tunnel stretched almost 1,500 feet, and for nearly a year, it captured an enormous volume of Soviet telephone and telegraph traffic. But there was one devastating problem. George Blake, a British intelligence officer involved in the project, was secretly working for the KGB. He revealed the plan before construction was even complete. The Soviets knew from the beginning. Yet they allowed the tunnel to operate because exposing it immediately could have revealed Blake. When the Soviets finally staged its accidental discovery in 1956, they expected to humiliate the West. Instead, much of the press was impressed by the engineering. And according to the CIA, later analysis found that the intercepted intelligence was still genuine, not carefully planted disinformation. So, was Operation Gold a failure because it was betrayed? Or a success because it still produced valuable intelligence? Tell me in the comments, guys. That depends on who tells the story. And there lies the pattern connecting every one of these operations. A demon toy, a fake movie, a secret tunnel, even a ridiculous plan targeting personal insecurity. They all relied on the same principle. Reality matters, but controlling how people interpret reality can matter even more. And once an intelligence agency begins operating inside that space, between what is true and what people can be persuaded to believe, The strangest conspiracy is no longer the operation we eventually discover. It's the operation whose files are still closed. Here's my honest opinion. The wildest part isn't that the CIA considered monsters, toys, fake movies, or embarrassing propaganda. It's that they understood one principle extremely well. People rarely react to reality itself. They react to the version of reality placed inside their minds. And once fear, pride, or humiliation enters the equation, even an absurd idea can become dangerously effective. Honestly, calling these stories conspiracy theories almost feels misleading, because the documents show that powerful agencies really did discuss plans most people would instantly dismiss as ridiculous. So yeah, sometimes the conspiracy side isn't paranoid. Sometimes it just read the files first. But remember the operation betrayed before it even began? Operation Gold was exposed by George Blake, a British intelligence officer secretly working for the Soviet Union. The Soviets knew about the Berlin Tunnel while it was still being built, but they stayed silent. Destroying it too early could have exposed Blake. So for almost a year, Western intelligence listened to Soviet communications, believing the tunnel was completely secret. But the Soviets were listening to the listeners. Here's the twist. They couldn't simply fill every phone line with false information without warning their own commanders or risking Blake's cover. So according to later CIA assessments, much of the intercepted intelligence may still have been genuine. That made Operation Gold both a failure and a success. And this connects every case. The monster, the sabotage manual, the demon toy, the fake movie, and the tunnel all depended on controlling one thing: what the target believed was happening. The weapon was never just the object, it was the story attached to it. And if these are the operations governments eventually admitted, imagine the ones still hidden behind classified doors. So tell me, which operation sounds the most unbelievable to you? Leave your answer below. Sending a huge hug. Mwah. And God bless you so much. Bye-bye.